Welcome to the Elevated Marketing podcast show that is designed for business owners and marketers who are tired of overhyped advice. We talk through what we're testing, we challenge assumptions, and we share what's really happening in the world of marketing, which is messy, creative, and always evolving. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome back to another Elevated Marketing podcast. My name is Jennifer Denny. If you're new to the show, and I own Elevated Marketing Solutions, and I founded it too. Okay, so today's topic has been sitting in my idea box for quite a while, and I think it's a very valid question. And I think that I know it gets asked a lot is, how much do marketing agencies cost? And everything we do cost something in life, time, money, resources, uh, they all cost. And so I think this one has been sitting in my inbox for so long because maybe I'm going a little bit against the grain. At least that's my perception, is that I'm going against the grain. You're not wrong for asking about costs because of what I just said, that everything costs money, and you're protecting your own business or you're protecting your marketing budget. And, unfortunately in my industry, it might be more common than not that you've been burned before. And so you're trying to see, how much money is this going to cost, and kind of instantly think through that instant ROI, or what is the return here? And what you're really asking for is, what is the value in what I'm purchasing? So the reason I think that we're all kind of stuck here, or I'm not so sure that I'm stuck here, is that you've been trained by agencies that what they sell is easy for you to understand. And so if you get like easy pricing, then you're more likely to buy because it's easy. And so it's kind of just a sales trick. And that doesn't really make marketing what it actually is. Now, I'm not difficult in pricing, so don't get me wrong there at all. But they sometimes will price based on what they sell, what their agency is good at, or, what is easier, as I've said, instead of like what your business actually needs. Now, there are plenty of marketing agencies that go about this way. So I don't want to portray that I'm unique and different, and in that aspect. My nose is a little itchy. But marketing, costs what it costs for a reason. The real question is, whether or not it's worth it. And you can only answer that by talking through what you actually need. And so when somebody gives a flat price after, maybe a 30-minute conversation with you, that's where we can simplify it, and they've identified maybe pretty quickly one thing that you need at that moment. But there's probably, as they work with you, they're going to uncover, or they should, that might have been what your hot button is at the moment, but that you have some deeper rooted issues and some other things that you might want to work on. My company is Elevated Marketing Solutions, and I particularly on this show call it Elevated Marketing Solutions for a reason, because it's data over time. It's not hype, it's not shiny tactics. We're small by design, we're not cookie cutter. we kind of have this vibe of truth over ego. And so the data over time, you might already have that data. And so if we can get in and see what data you have, then we can make that decision quicker. But if you don't, then you need to have that data set up in order to make, better decisions. I can hear by listening to someone, what they feel like they need. And that might be, what we go for. But as we get in, we're going to kind of decide, what is going to be best. So let's go back and stop talking about us per se. If you chase price, you actually end up overpaying. And why that is because you're treating marketing like a transaction, and it turns into like a commodity conversation that, creates predictable failure patterns. Like the cheap option underperforms and like momentum is lost. The flashy option looks busy, can't connect leads to sales. And then you have this vendor hopping that happens, and there's no consistency and nothing compounds. And that's one major concept I would want to make sure is that marketing should compound on top of itself and build and be better. And yeah, that's a whole concept. So what does it really cost when you're asking that question? You want to know if you're about to waste money again. How do I know if this is going to work for my business? What am I actually buying? And when you really break those down, you want to know the value. Cost only makes sense when it's tied to an outcome and ways to like measure that progress. Price without diagnosis is really just guessing. Marketing is layered, as I've said. Content is all marketing, and SEO, AEO, email, social, video, blah, blah, blah. All of that works best when it's sequenced correctly and tied to the funnel. And the fact of the matter is you probably do need potentially all of the above, depending on where you're at in your size of business, where you're at in your marketing. And that's how pricing should come about. There's definitely hourly, project, retainer. The model isn't really the point, it's the value of what's inside of it. So hourly can reward slowness. So the slower a marketing agency works, the more that they make. Projects can cut corners if scope is vague. Retainers can drift into autopilot without like a clear, like, this is where we're going. And so there could be things that are wrong with each and every model. The common failure points is they just give me a number and they trapped a generic copy paste strategy. Like that's what you get. You got this price, and we all want to think that there's just this copy paste strategy. There are industries, and industries are great, and there's things that work from different industries. But the reality is when we challenge our mind and we learn from different industries, we actually make our industry better rather than being a copy paste. Because if marketing was that easy, if I could just put it on a conveyor belt and just do the exact same for every single business, it's just not. There's a psychology to how people buy things. You really want to buy the marketing agency that's a strategist, that keeps asking like what to do next. You're not just buying this package of I'm going to get XYZ. They're like, check mark, we solved that part of the funnel. What is the next thing that we can work on? And that's, in my opinion, what you want just in life. I'm personally allergic to mediocrity, and I always want to improve on what we've done before. So, you're looking for that custom analysis. You're looking for telling the truth within the data, that like one source is not true. All the sources could be true, and finding the source there in the middle that's like, okay, that's what's true. Building a plan around business data, like what is the business objective that we are trying to get right now? um, there's lots of ways that we could talk about that. But when we talk about price, what we're trying to really get to is, what is the value of this? That is sales 101. And if someone can effectively talk you through like what the value is, then you can understand a little bit better which marketing agency to choose, because there is a right one out there for you, and they're all a little bit different. And yeah, it takes time to sit and go through, but I want to encourage you to not ask the price question right away, because, well, you got to ask the question. Let me rephrase that. Ask the price question, but understand what you're trying to get at when you ask the price question. We all have a budget, and we all have different size businesses, and based on your size business, your revenue, there's a percentage of your revenue that should be spent on marketing. And I wrote a blog post on that. And so we all have to start in a certain area. um, the one that speaks the loudest and costs the most is not necessarily the best buy. uh, I believe in being frugal, and I try to be frugal with marketing in a sense that, not like cheap. I'm not gonna not do things because they cost money, but I'm searching for, what is the business outcome that I want to get, and what problem am I solving with the business that they have right now in order to do that outcome, and then create the sequences of, okay, we've got that, now we can add that. So I hope that better helps explain, what the cost is of marketing agencies. Of course, in the blog post, I'm going to go into a lot more detail on this, and I hope this was a helpful subject for you. Um, my name is Jennifer Denny. I am the founder of Elevated Marketing Solutions. And you can follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, under Jennifer Denny, or maybe you like podcasts, and we are on all the places to get the latest podcasts that we've had. All right, take care.